U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken delivered twin messages to Hamas and Israel. The first was pressing the militant group to accept a ceasefire proposal, and the second urging Israeli leaders to put off a major ground invasion into Rafah. Even though Israel and Hamas have been talking for months about a deal to release the hostages and halt the war, now, Israel has been a reluctant negotiator. Israel has been hesitant to withdraw its troops, free more Palestinian prisoners, or allow Gazans to return to their homes. But American officials say that in recent weeks, Israel has made more concessions, and now Hamas seems to be the reluctant party. It has now embraced the Israeli compromises, and most importantly, it has frustrated American attempts to stop the war.
Hamas has to decide whether it will take this deal and actually advance the situation for the people that it purports to care about in Gaza. There is no time for delay. There's no time for further haggling. The deal is there. They should take it.
So while there is a holdout, the negotiations have real consequences. For weeks, Israel has said it's just preparing to invade Rafah, where around 1 million Palestinian civilians and thousands of Hamas fighters have taken refuge. Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday pledged to strike Rafah with or without a hostage deal, potentially endangering thousands of more civilians. But the ones involved in mediation, which includes the Americans, Egyptians and Qataris, worry that Hamas appears willing to sacrifice even more Palestinian civilians, and its officials believe that the deaths in Gaza could help erode support for Israel around the world. So the Americans do not want Israel to strike Rafah with a major ground offensive, at least not without a better plan to protect the civilians. A hostage agreement appears to be the best way to at least delay such an operation.
On Rafah itself, look, our position is clear. It hasn't changed. It won't change. We will not support a major military operation in Rafah absent an effective plan to make sure that civilians are not harmed. And no, we've not seen such a plan.
On Wednesday night, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant spoke with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, focusing on operational developments in the southern and northern arenas. Gallant briefed Austin on the IDF's ongoing activities and preparation for future operations in Gaza. Austin insisted that there must be a credible plan to evacuate Gazan civilians before a Rafah operation can take place. In addition, the duo also discussed Iranian threats to regional stability and to Israel's security. Gallant emphasized the importance of maintaining a united front and joint regional effort to counter Iran's proxy attacks and nuclear ambitions. While American officials have long understood that Hamas does not intend to release the Israeli soldiers it holds without a promise of a more lasting ceasefire, Washington hoped Hamas would do the necessary and halt the war. Now, correspondent Jody Cohen gets us the latest on a potential ceasefire and also the hostage release deal.
So Hamas official Osama Hamdan has said that Hamas's position on the deal is negative, but that talks are continuing. Now, Hamas is due to present its response to Israel's offer on Thursday, and the US and UK have called Israel's offer extraordinarily generous. But we know that Hamas have said they want a permanent ceasefire, but Israel, quite frankly, doesn't believe them and won't allow Hamas on its border. And that's because Hamas has said it would repeat the 7th of October massacre against Israel again and again. Now, some in Israel are concerned that the offer is perhaps too generous, with reports that it could involve Israel releasing thousands of Palestinian security prisoners who are in prison for murder or attempted murder. and because the deal would reportedly only secure the release of 33 of the 133 hostages. Meanwhile, many of the families of the hostages who've been without their loved ones for almost 7 months are calling on the government to offer more if Hamas rejects the proposal. And we're hearing that protesters are blocking the highway in Tel Aviv, calling for the same. But it's not clear if Israel would or could offer more without the security services feeling that that would endanger security. And Israel has said that if Hamas does not accept the offer, they will go into Rafah to target the last Hamas battalions and look for information about the hostages there.
Now, Jody further talks about US calling for a credible plan for the Rafah offensive from Israel.
So US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Israel's Prime Minister, Defense Minister and others on Wednesday. They discussed the hostage deal and Rafah plans, and we know that US Defense Secretary Austin spoke with Defense Minister Gallant early on Thursday about Rafah. Now, Austin stressed the need for any potential Israeli military operation in Rafah to include a credible plan to evacuate civilians and maintain the flow of aid. According to reports, the quickest plan would be to evacuate civilians via Egypt, but Egypt is against taking them. So Israel's plan is to evacuate civilians to nearby Khan Yunis, and satellite images are showing large-scale tents set up there. Now, in terms of aid, I was at Erez yesterday, where Israel opened another aid crossing into northern Gaza, and I spoke with the IDF international spokesperson Nadav Shoshani, who said that Israel is opening more crossing points to help bypass Hamas and get aid to the population centres faster. And Blinken has suggested that the onus is now on Hamas to stop the fighting and return the hostages.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.